have a story to tell. We always have something that we can contribute and be able to share with other people. And so that's why we wanted to bring everyone together. And of course, to celebrate 30 years. There is a leather-bound book over by the food, and if you have not wished a little birthday wish to Tanner, feel free to write in the book. We have plenty of food, so feel free to keep eating. We've got more in the kitchen that we can always bring out. But what is wonderful about these events is that it brings people together, that you can also then learn not just about each other, but to be able to combine forces. And events like this has actually brought Brielle and Tanner together. And so they have a story to share. And Brielle has something about time as we look into the next 30 years of our life. So I'm going to pass it over to Brielle.
Here we go.
Christopher. There we go.
Yeah, let's do this. How's it going? Right up top.
There you go.
Good evening, everybody. I guess, what are we, afternoon? No, we're at evening, 6:30. It's a good evening. So our evening is about Tanner. He wanted to do an event about his 30s and 30 years. So we want to talk about the future, the past, a little bit of that. Tell you a little bit about myself. Why am I here? Why do you care that I'm even talking? Because I'm standing here and nobody else is. That's really why.
I kind of like you too.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. So what I'm going to talk to you about during my 15 minutes or so is your perspective on how you relate to your impact on time. How many of you feel you don't have enough time in your life to do all the stuff you want to do? A few of you? Okay. I just want to get a sense. You know? And then what we want to look at in terms of time is your mindset about time. Because really that creates everything in our lives, right? How we think about everything. And if we go to the past, what I'm going to go through first, before Tanner became 30 and was a young youth and doing what he was doing, that was what we all do. Falling, getting back up again, learning. You're all here, so you've obviously survived enough to be here and do something correct. Right? Something worked out in your choices. Even though I don't have to ask in the room, every one of us has something that we did that we regretted, something we did that was a mistake, something we did that we thought, ooh, I could have done that better. How many of you have that? That really thought you could have done something better? Fantastic. So by the end of this, I want you to be ignited to consider what you can do better in the next 30 years. So let's get some perspective on that. There's kinds of mindset towards time that starts with what? Hourly. We all make a living at some level. So some people think hourly. They do. They go to work, okay, how much am I going to get paid per hour? What am I getting paid per hour? They think about the day. How much am I making in the day? And then there's the people that think weekly. Like managers think weekly, right? Owners of, how many of you own your own company? Oh, that's a lot of you. Okay, fantastic, great. You think weekly, right? You're making something in the week. Was the client taken care of during that week? Is the invoice getting paid for that week's worth of work? Right? It's a bigger stretch of time. Then you might be thinking monthly, right? Those are like regional managers. Again, entrepreneurs might be thinking monthly. You have your income and your expenses. Anybody deal with P&L? Yeah, a few of you? Okay. Some of you need to get an accountant and get on it. But you think monthly, but then the people who have the mindset that think quarterly, right? So it's not just the month, it's not just the day, it's how the day adds up to the week and adds up to the month that ends up to a quarter. Now that's somebody who's looking a little bit more into the future. That's more of the CEO, though, who starts thinking yearly. He has a company. Like some of you entrepreneurs, you might be looking, how much money do you want to make? How many new clients do you want to pick up? But you have to think out into the future. You can't just think today. You can't just think for the hour or the day. You have to take all those days and add it up and think far, far out there for just a year. That's like a CEO, an owner.
A teacher.
A teacher.
Yeah.
How do kids do in a year?
A school year.
School year, very good. Although you have what, 9 months?
185 days.
Fantastic.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? And then you get summer. Yes, summer. Okay, loving summer. So glad we're here in summer. It was a little late coming in Colorado, wasn't it? A little delayed. Then you have the people that think it like politicians. And they think how? Anybody want to say how they think politicians think? Decades. They sign bills, right? They work on bills. Now, whether you agree with how they handle those bills or not, is not the object of my conversation. I have no interest in that. Vote how you want, it's fine. We all live in the same world. Apparently in this room it's working out pretty well. But they think of decades, right? Because they take a group of people, they figure out what do they think is best for people, they put a law in play, and then that's going to affect people for decades. Cities, right? That law keeps going and will be out there. So politicians, we don't really like them, but decades. But really what I want you to think about are people who think in terms of centuries. Thomas Edison, Martin Luther King, right? Oprah. Right? They think of changes. I mean, who's our top, one of our guys now? Elon Musk. Right? These guys are thinking about going to Mars in 2 decades from now, which will change our lives. They're now starting to build the moon base. Do you know about this? To get to Mars, we have to actually start from the moon. Have to start from the moon because we have to put all our stuff up there, and that's like Camp Base, and then we're going to go into the future. And how are they going to fund that, of course? They're going to have parties up on the moon. You know about this? $1 million you get to go to the moon soon. That's going to happen. It will happen within our decade. You should be clear about that. And if you're not prepared to buy that trip, you should get excited because it's coming. Centuries are visionaries. And that's what is important I want to present to you is where do you think? Take a moment. What do you think in terms of? Do you think in terms of days, weeks, months? Do you even think in terms of 5 years? Is 30 years even within your realm of thinking, or is it so far outside of what you even think about? What do you think about achieving in those 30 years? How many of you have kids? You care where your kids are going to be, don't you, in 10 years? 15? Well, after they're 18, a lot of you are like, oh my God, I'm out. I love you, but you're good. 2 decades. Really though, right? 2 decades. A child is set. They're allowed to go to war. They can vote. So that's only 2 decades, really. A parent has to really consider thinking about their child. If you're a great parent, maybe you're thinking 30 years. So in terms of that, where are you thinking in terms of your company? Your relationships, your health. I was a snowboarder when I moved here. I taught at Keystone. I didn't know that my body would not appreciate what I was doing 10 years later. Big jumps, trees, falling, just eating up. But that time catches up, and it will be there soon. What would you like to do at that time? What do you want to do with the time you're given? I love the story. There's a guy, I want to give you perspective one time. Picture a country road. Guy's walking along. It's kind of a hot day. He sees this guy sawing this big log. It's a log. It's big. And this guy's cranking. He's just going. He's sawing. He's just getting in there. He's going at it. Like so bad that it's sweating. You can see the pit stains. He's just really working it. Guy walks by and he kind of looks, just notices. You ever do that in life? You kind of notice somebody, but you don't interact. It's not really a place to tell people what to do with their lives, right? We feel that way. He comes back and he goes, "Look, man, I just gotta ask. Maybe you should sharpen that saw." "Oh, no way, man. I don't have enough time because I gotta cut the log." So instead of taking the time, the 5 minutes that it would take him to saw with a sharp saw and sharpen that saw, he doesn't want to give up that 10 minutes, right? He thinks that time is a waste of his time. It's a deficit. But yet, instead of taking 2 hours to saw the log, it would take him half an hour. So if you add that together, it's like 40 minutes. So I would ask you in your life, what are things you could sharpen that would set you up, planning, moving forward? Something you could do that would enhance you. There's 3 major areas we have in life, right? Our health, physical. How many of you have physical goals? Room's full, right? We're a healthy group. You know Tanner Wendell, of course you got healthy goals. Business. You want goals in business. You want something to move forward in business. How many times have I met people that don't want an accountant or they want to do it themselves? Instead of taking the time to what? Train somebody else to do the work. I see you nodding. Train somebody else, but people don't want to give up that 2 weeks. Oh, God, they'll never know how to do it like I do. And then the first 3 times they make the mistake, how do people react? See, I told you. They're not going to do it like I'm just going to do it myself. So there's that guy sawing because he didn't want to teach somebody else how to come and saw that log. So I would ask you, Where in your life could you have something else in place that you could put in place to support you? Go ahead, I see you thinking. I'm going to be quiet for a minute. You know Jessica Lange? Anybody remember her? God, Miss Daisy. You're a young guy too, man. It's pretty sweet, bro. She won an Oscar when she was over 80 years old. Any of you have big goals? Big goals? Like really, big goals. So none of you have big goals? This is a room of no big goal people? I'm asking, put your hand up as big as your goal is, people. Seriously. There you go. What if she quit at 79? She did a lot of work. She made a lot of money. She had a lot of good movies. Everybody was like, hey, she's great. No, she kept on rolling, man. She was swinging, kept on swinging. So I want to remind you what it takes. It's about what you do with the time. You don't really get to choose how life comes at you. You don't. You don't get to choose whether that guy sidelines you in the car. I didn't get to choose that my mother, when I was 8 years old, hitchhiked me to Boston and we were homeless. I didn't get to choose that. But I got to choose how to handle it. There was a parking garage. I was like, well, we should go in the parking garage. It's snowing in Boston, so let's get out of the snow. Okay, I went to the parking garage. We look around. I was a lot smaller then. I was about your size. How old are you? Perfect. Come here. You stand up for me just for a minute? Come on, Jack. Jack, could you encourage Jack, please? Now, just because they don't get the perspective sometimes. People, adults can be small-minded even though they're twice as big as you. Come here. Stand up here. You good? You can hold me if you're worried about falling, okay? You good?
Jack?
Just say hello. That's all. Just wave. Just say hi. You can say hi.
Hello.
Excellent. Excellent. I want you to think back when you were his age. Were you open? Were you free? Were you going after stuff? Did you think you could become who you are today? Are you beyond who you thought you might be? Were you nervous like Jack? Thanks, Bill. Come on, Jack. Give me a hand. So in that garage, I saw a dusty old Cadillac. Time mattered to me. I could perceive time on the Cadillac. Why? It was covered with dust. It was like one of 5 cars in the garage. It was late at night. It was just by chance. I went to the door. I opened it. It opened. Now, this was a classic old Cadillac, by the way. These are the big boats. You remember those big boats that would like fill this room?
Yeah.
So, and I was a tall kid. Dude, that back seat was like a couch. It was huge, big, fluffy leather. It was good for a couple days. We were good. So you don't have to worry. I know some of you are like, where's this going? It worked out. I had a warm place to stay for a couple days. Security guard gave us some food, a couple breakfasts, and then eventually we found a place to go and live. So that worked out. But I could perceive the time on the car, right? So what do you perceive in your life when you look at the time around you? Is it going? Is it coming? Are you letting time slip because there's things you want? And is your mindset that you can accomplish the things you actually say that you want to accomplish? Because time is just perspective. 20,000 stage hours I put in. I went to a Friends audition. 3rd callback. Anybody remember that show? Kind of cute-ish. It's a big deal, man. Actor, Friends. I was like, oh my God, producer's a big deal. Going up into the big Warner Brothers offices. I get my 3rd callback. I totally wreck it. I just blow it. I'm nervous. I change the deal. I walk home. I cry. I lose my mind. I don't belong here. I drop out. I just dropped. I was like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'm the one wrecking my career, right? I made that mindset that it was me. They were giving me the chance, but I was blowing the chance. What I didn't realize is you got to fall to get up sometimes. You just have to fall to get up sometimes. When you fall, it's okay, right? You ever hear my favorite phrase? Fail forward. Right? Years later, I come out to Colorado, my favorite place now, of course. I booked a Super Bowl commercial. friends calling you. You know how cool that was? Hey dude, I saw you on TV, that's so cool, man, blah, 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 blah. However, if I had gotten stuck in that failure, that mindset that I wasn't doing it right, I would have never opened myself up to other new doors. You know, some of you are divorced. Some of you are single. You think that you don't have something out there. You can't even picture that maybe you could spend the next 20 years with somebody new in your life that could really make a difference for you. And I'd like to encourage you to flip that mindset on its ass. Every day you get up is your opportunity to do something powerful. But here's the real big tick I want to take you. I want to take you on the journey of. It's not just about me telling you you're great or you're great. It's about telling you that your greatness inspires others. That's what I want you to think about. When you leave, who can you support in the world? Who can you inspire with your greatness? Right? Who is it? Who out there? I see you nodding. I love it. That's what I want to see. How many of you see that you can really make a difference in the world and think you make a difference? Heck yeah! Put those hands up like you mean it, man. If you are playing half-ass, you have not seen a man climb Kilimanjaro with aluminum legs. I just saw that the other day in the article. A guy had no legs. He went to war, got blown out by some madman across the seas who was upset about something that had nothing to do with his wife or his children. That guy's climbing up Kilimanjaro. Helen Keller couldn't see. She was also deaf. So anybody in this room that says, nah, man, you don't know what I gotta go. You don't know. You don't know what I gotta, the trouble I have to work with. Really? Is that, you wanna play that? You wanna play 2 4s in your hand, in your poker? Or you wanna like say, you know what, I got 2 4s and I'm going in. And I'm taking it to the mat. That's what I want you to think about. So take a moment, I want you to think about this. What are you doing this year? You have a year in your mind. What are you doing with this year? There's 4 quarters, those of you who are business owners. What are you doing with that year? Take a moment. Health or business, relationship, friends, what are you going to do with that year? Is there something you could do tomorrow that you've been putting off or put more effort into? Now I'd like to think about 5 years. 5 years from now, if things were going the way you wanted them to be going, what would you really be doing? Who would you be with? Who would you surround yourself with, and who would you be to other people 5 years from now? Now go out to 10 years. 10 years, man, that's a chunk of time, that's a decade. You know, your bankruptcies fall off, foreclosures fall off of credit reports after a decade. I mean, the numbers in the room, we all live in Colorado, some of you had something happen. Feels like maybe it never was ever gonna fall off. Maybe like that weight you wanna lose, or the muscle you wanna put on, or the bank account you wanna fill. So now let's go a little further. 20 years. Most of you are gonna definitely hit 20 years in the future. I say most. I don't know how you live your lives. I don't know. Maybe you're still racing motorcycles off of cliffs. I don't know. You know. Evel Knievel's still alive. They just did a thing about that guy. Amazing. Jumping over the Grand Canyon. 20 years. So let's take it to the home stretch, shall we? 30 years. How old will you be in 30 years? And what do you see yourself doing? Who do you see yourself being in 30 years? Whose lives are you impacting? Can you see the greatness in yourself growing to such a level that you become someone that somebody writes a movie or a story about? You ever think about yourself that way? Anybody in this room could be that person. So 30 years up. I leave you with that. My name is Gabriel Christopher. So now I'm going to pass it back over to debutante. Come back over. Just come on in. Just come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Take over. Your turn.
Sounds good.
I hope that was a good setup for you.
It was awesome.
Enjoy. Thank you for your time, everybody. I appreciate it.
When I was a little girl, people used to always ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I always said I wanted to be a mom. I wanted the hot husband. We were going to have 5 kids. The first one was going to be a boy. We were going to have this badass house, backyard, pool, dog. I mean, I wanted the American dream. So why did I have to stay with Joey for so long? He cheated on me. He stole from me. He lied. He wasn't really present at all. I mean, he spent more time probably with our dog Wolfie than he did with me. Why did I think that was acceptable? Why did I think that I was worth that? Winter of 2002, I'm backstage at a concert with Joey and some of his friends, and I meet this guy named Jose Mangan. He's telling me about Sirius satellite radio, and I'm like, what the heck is this? No one knew what satellite radio was back then. Did you? I said, look, I need a job. Do you need jocks? Like, can we talk? And I got hired that April. Through the years being at Sirius, I kept myself in unhealthy relationships. I thought, this is gonna be the guy. He's the one, he's my Mr. Right. All along, just putting out this vibe that like everything was okay. Because after all, I was gonna be a mom, wasn't gonna have a career. I realized one day that I needed to make a change. Like the light bulb went on. I said, something has got to be different. And I decided to take on a new business venture, helping people with their health and fitness. I said, this is gonna be my saving grace. And it was. Helped me get out of a dead-end relationship. Helped me get my power back. I'm like, I got this. I'm good at what I do. Like, I love what I do. Still, of course, thinking, yeah, but I still want to be a mom. Ultimately, through everything, not understanding why my life was turning out the way it was, realizing like, I've got a great thing in front of me, still not fully embracing it, all along staying tied to my faith, saying there's gotta be a reason, there's gotta be a plan for me. I don't know what it is, I don't understand it, but I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of quiet time, just digging deep to figure out what it is that I was supposed to be doing. And with that, I learned to embrace that I have this platform. I have a platform that I can talk to thousands of people. I learned to find my inner rock star. I now help people find theirs. And now, because of that, I have found peace, I have calm, I have strength back, I have happiness. And if it wasn't because I didn't make that change, and it's not easy. We have to sometimes take chances. We don't know why, but you know you need something different, and so you do it. And because of that, I now am able to stand here today and introduce to you an incredible man who I love dearly, who has found his purpose, and who is ready to make our community great. Tanner Wendell.
When I was 9, my dad started to teach me to drive. It was a stick shift. It's an old white Ford Ranger. I can still see this thing. Like, I think it had probably been rolled a couple of times. Didn't matter, right? Perfect car to start learning to drive. And I grew up in a small farming community. What you do, right? Learn to drive. And so there was this one day that He put me behind the wheel, 3 pedals and gas and brake, and figure it out. Let's go. And so I'm driving around in this dirt lot, and I'm going. I got the gas figured out. Like, that works. Okay, I got the gas figured out. I figured out the clutch enough to get it into second gear, and that was about it. And I was headed toward the highway. My parents owned a business that was along the highway, and I was headed towards the highway off of this dirt lot. And I really had 2 options: to continue to go to the highway or to veer it off into the parking lot. And so I was going, and I came, and I was like, screeched around, hit the brakes, parked in front of the building on the parking lot. My mom comes running out, freaked out. My dad's laughing. It's hilarious, right? Like, this is kind of what my childhood looked like. Like, my dad just kind of threw me into situations like, hey, here we go, let's figure this out. Let's learn to drive, let's do this. Fast forward to age 12. My dad bought an airplane. Sold his business, bought an airplane. Let's go fly. That airplane was much like that old Ford Ranger. Needed a little work. Probably needed the engine replaced, needed a paint job, needed a few things done to it. I didn't care. I was 12, right? I'm 12, 13. I'm learning to fly at 13. And we took a lot of trips in that airplane. We went a lot of places, and it was cool. Like, I was learning to fly. And that Christmas in '99, I was 13 years old, and he had to go take a trip. We didn't always take trips together. We took most trips together. Didn't go on this trip with him. Said he just needed to run a few errands, be back, and I'm like, cool. I'm 13. It's the day after Christmas. I think I had some Lego castle to tend to or something, right? I had my own priorities. Dinner came around, and he wasn't back. And it wasn't uncommon for my dad not to be home for dinner. He worked late, long hours, hardworking guy. I just didn't think it was going to be one of those days. Ate dinner with my mom, got ready for bed, went to bed. Or at least I laid in my bed. Tossing, turning. At a certain point, and I don't know what time it was, at a certain point though, I moved from my bed to sitting on the edge of my bed, and I had a window, like right here on the edge of my bed. And I just, something didn't feel right. And so I thought, okay, it's dark out, the airport is north of our house. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Blowing up? So the airport's north of our house, right? And I thought, okay, surely I'll see the red and green lights of his plane cross above. It's dark, airport's right there. And I sat there. And I sat there. And I sat there. And I didn't see those lights. And it must have been around, I don't know, midnight or something. My mom came in to check on me. She didn't realize I was still up. She's like, Tanner, you need to go to bed. It's late. I can't, Mom. Something doesn't feel right. Why isn't Dad home? Expecting to be home. Have you heard from him? She burst into tears and said, sorry, Tanner, your dad's not coming home. We're not going to live together anymore. It was at that point, Sunday, December 26, 1999, that I found out my parents were getting a divorce. And it was that day that my perspective and my perception and my opinion of that man who taught me to drive, who taught me to fly, who took me on all these trips and these fun things, completely changed. And I thought, cool. If that's what he does, if that's where he's at, if that's how he is, if that's how he's at, if that's how he says goodbye, I don't need him. I don't need him. 13, I'm a man now, right? Like, got it figured out. That week was the end of the 20th century. The end of my family as I knew it. 2000 rolls around. Last year of 8th grade. First year freshman, high school, turned 14. Start drinking. Promiscuous activities with women. Marijuana, probably some other drugs. 14, right? I'm like, cool, I'm a man. Got this. got this. I don't need my dad. Talked to him maybe a couple of times. And that really defined my life for the next decade. We heard about time, right? G-Man, we heard about time. Decade. What are you doing a decade? 14, 15, 24. 10 years. Arrested 7 times for drinking under the age. 2 times for driving under the influence underage. Unfortunately, there's one benefit in that. Maybe it's Nebraska, maybe it was the timing. The penalties for driving under the influence underage aren't near as severe as they are when you're overage. So that was cool. Record's clean. I've dealt with all that. That's cool. And I got in one extremely serious accident, serious car accident. Like I look back, and I was lucky to walk away from that. I was totally responsible, and I didn't even remember what happened. And that was an eye-opener at 19. Yet still not enough to really change those patterns that I had developed over the entire time of high school and college and just the cycle that I was in. I thought, it's fine, I got it. That same span of time, 10 years, talked to my dad maybe 5 times. And I didn't care to resolve anything. At that point, I figured, it's dead to me. Got it figured out. I'm living my life. I don't need it. 24 years old. Just bought a house. Living in Kansas City. December 24th, 2009. Another big nugget of information. I don't know what it is about Christmas. Something about it though. Girlfriend Rebecca at the time comes to me and says, "Surprise, honey. Merry Christmas." Pregnancy test. Positive. Oh. I had been living my life like this. We were in a relationship that wasn't on a real steady foundation. I didn't know what to do. I knew one thing. Didn't want that kid. Didn't want to deal with it. Wanted the easy way out. In my heart of hearts, though, I knew that wasn't an option. I knew that wasn't an option. I'm grateful that to her that wasn't an option. And then I found out, I knew one thing. All I knew one thing. I was going to be the father that I didn't have growing up. And I made a commitment that day. To be that man. To be that man that I didn't have in my life. That I longed to have in my life. That I thought, this is what it looks like. My apple cart got so tipped up. I was not going to allow that cycle to continue for another human being. Flash forward a year, daughter's born, I'm engaged to her mother. I get a package in the mail. It's from my dad. He had found out about my daughter being born through my mom and got my address and sent some clothes and a card. Didn't want anything to do with him. Great. Wrote him a letter. Thanks for the sentiment. He sent some money. I had some issue with the amount of money he sent. I don't know. It was too much, right? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Where have you been this whole time? I'm good. I don't need this. Yet that tripped something inside of me. There was something. Kept the conversations going. Next couple of years were filled with hate emails, I'll say, on my part. Me dumping and dumping and dumping 10 years worth of hurt and pain on my dad. With him responding, "Thank you for sharing. Sorry you feel that way." One line, right, which just even fired me up even more. I'm like, no, really, this is how I feel. You're going to apologize. I need an explanation, yada, 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 expectation after expectation that was never met. Never met. And being a father, I understood the importance of that connection. And there was something that just continued to come back to me. This is important. This is important. You are an adult. You are a man now. have an opportunity to take control of the situation if you really want. I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't have any tools. I didn't. Okay, cool, got it. What am I going to do with it? Fast forward a couple more years, I go through a divorce of my own, find out who I am as a man, lots of late nights, uncomfortable conversations with myself in front of the mirror. Bad shit, don't recommend. And I had to own that. I had to own that, and I had to use that as an opportunity to do something different. And I did some personal development, and thankfully, that's how I've met many of you. Size Seminars, I've met many of you through other channels. However, that opened my eyes. That was the first awareness to say, hey, you can do something different. Take responsibility. You have the responsibility. And it went on a few more months, and for those of you that have played PLD, it was PLD's second weekend. Forgiveness. The assignment was clean up a relationship. Fuck, I know who that was. That was pretty easy. I'm like, okay, I've got two of them. I have a marriage I just destroyed, and I have a father I really haven't had a relationship with in now 15 years. Cool, okay, easy. Leave the hotel, phone in hand, dad's numbered on the list. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know what I was going to say. I thought I had to have it all figured out. I spent so much time in my life thinking, it's going to look this way. I have to have this figured out. I have to know what this looks like. And I didn't. And I pushed the button. And I called him. And he answered. And I told him I forgave him for everything. 15 years with the pain and hurt that I carried around. And I cried like that little boy that was 13 that had just found out his dad wasn't coming home. And then I felt amazing. Like I literally did. It was seriously like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Let me get off this jacket. It was like that. It was just like, I'm free. I don't know where it's headed from here. I'm free. I've lifted this weight. I've said what I needed to say. He understands where I'm at. He doesn't know how to deal with this either. He just wants to have a good relationship too. And that was a year and a week ago. And I just spent last weekend up in Estes Park with my dad. Beautiful girlfriend Kayla, daughter Emma. My new version of family. And I never would have imagined that it could look like that. All because I made a choice. One choice. Maybe two choices. One choice led to another choice. And the point of that is, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I thought I knew, and I thought he's going to apologize, he's going to explain, he's going to be wrong about this. In order for me to be right, in order for me to win, he needs to be wrong. He needs to lose. He needs to pay. And he didn't. And he didn't have to. All I needed to do was make a choice and change. And I tell you guys this story, and we've heard from the other two who I'm extremely grateful to have here. I mean, this for me, I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate those guys getting up and speaking. Like, this has been huge. And for me, just to have an opportunity to share this story with you is really big for me. And I tell you that story because what I learned out of that, and what I've learned out of my divorce, and what I've learned out of the trials and tribulations in life is that we all have something, right? Gabriel talked about it. We've all done something. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. Like, it's life. I didn't realize that. I thought I was the only one struggling with stuff until I opened myself up a little bit. And then I realized everybody struggled. It was something. And it's not a bad thing. Life's a struggle. It's not always easy, and that's okay. Like, that's the beauty of it. And that's a big thing that I've actually learned from my dad. in restoring this relationship, he has a great attitude about things. He turns 70 this year, and we're talking about his next 30 years. Like, what does that look like? He's like, well, I'm going to live until like I'm 110. I'm pretty clear on that. I'm doing this and this, and this is what it looks like. I'm like, cool. Like, here's what I want to do my next 30 years. And so with this being the title of the event, Gabriel talking about time, that's what I want to leave you guys with. I, through all of this, have truly found a calling, a purpose. I'm not a super religious guy. I'm on my path. I'm figuring out what that looks like. What I do know is that there's a voice and there's a message that I continue to hear over and over and over again. And I realize why I've gone through what I've gone through and why I've learned what I've learned. And that's so I can share this, and I can share the lessons, and I can share this with guys my age. I'm 30, I turned 30 a few days ago. And I look around and it's like, I see guys in their teens, and how old are you, buddy? 14, right? I see guys in 14, 18, 20, and I'm like, I wouldn't have listened to a guy. I mean, I was told so many times in the past, and I don't know, you don't have to listen to me. However, if people in your generation, people 15 years between us, right? 14, 24, 34. If I could just plant a seed in people's mind that maybe makes them make a different choice, make a different decision, clean up a relationship, be a better father, be a better husband, be a better man, go volunteer and do something. All the things that I was not doing, if I can be a catalyst for that, it's my purpose. And I don't know what it looks like. And that's the beauty of it, because I used to think I had to have it all figured out. And I don't. What I do know is that I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm passionate about the Incredible Man Project, which is the brand that I have created. Consciously creating incredible communities. I want to work with men of my generation, and it's not exclusive to men. I get that question. We got like a mixed bag of, half male, half female. It's gonna take everybody. I'm focused on helping men of my generation because I'm a man of my generation. Like, I can only speak about my experience and pass down the stories that I've learned from my perspective, and I hope that spans well beyond men of my generation. I really want to focus with guys on self-awareness, relationships, and personal health. Because until I was aware of what was going on in my life and how I was showing up, I couldn't make a new choice. I thought it was right. I thought I had it figured out. I thought it was going to look a certain way with my dad. I thought my ex-wife was the reason we got divorced. Turns out it might have been part of the problem. Which then leads me into relationships. Okay, I can take ownership for my part in having a bad relationship. Now I can choose to have a great relationship. Shit, that was easy. And all along the way, I don't think that would have been possible had I have not taken control of my health. And it started physically, and I realized the connection between physical and mental. I just don't think you can separate those two. If you're feeling good inside, you're going to look good, you're going to feel good outside. And vice versa, it feeds. So you just don't separate the two. So that's why I've summarized this personal health. I don't know what your challenges are. You don't have to want six-pack abs to feel good about yourself. You probably do want to weigh within a weight that you don't feel uncomfortable, though, to not have your mind all messed up. Because if you're not feeling good and looking good, you're probably not thinking positive about yourself. So that's what I'm about. That's what I'm here for. I'm seriously I'm so excited about this. And I thought about this on the way down. And I've heard this before, that we don't choose our dreams. Our dreams choose us. And I heard another, I'm gonna go on a couple of here, and I think I'm gonna get this right. God doesn't qualify, or God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies, or He calls the qualifies the call. Thank you, babe. That's why you're here, right? So I don't know what this looks like. I've started a Facebook page, Incredible Man Project. I'd love for you guys to go out there and like that and give me some support. I'm posting videos. I've got a website in the works. if you connect, please. If you want to get involved and you want to do something more, fantastic. Like, let me know. Because my dream didn't come with directions. And I'm just following it one day at a time. So I seriously want to thank you guys. I want to thank Jennifer Reinhardt for this beautiful space. Jennifer, Atlas Real Estate, she was gracious enough, and yeah, I really appreciate it. I know we're putting Jack out. It's about bedtime. So I appreciate that. Jennifer Alfatelli brought some wine, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for all of you guys, seriously. This means a lot. I know there's a lot of going on. It's Saturday night, it's summer, and for you guys to be here, I really appreciate it. So I hope you've taken something out of this. I hope it's been enjoyable. There's plenty of food, plenty of wine. Seriously, like, don't make me eat all my wine. Thank you guys.
Let's help brother out here. Come on up here. Well, you gotta read it so that people can see it. Come on up, dude. You're a guy. You look like a doer. Hold it so they can read it. There we go. IncredibleManProject.com, so you can support what will be the future of better men in our society. There you go.
Cool.
Thanks, brother. Fellow promoter.
Promoter, man.
So yeah, hang around. I promised Jen we'd be out of here by 8. So we got to help clean up, and Jack needs to get home. You guys need to get on with your evening. Chill, connect, have some food, and yeah, be sure to say goodbye before you leave. Thanks, guys. Hey, brother. Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah. Right on. Yeah, even though I listen to the privacy of my own home.
Everybody brought their wine.
Oh, my word.
What are you doing tonight?
Hope that was alright, man. I figured you'd jump up, man. Yeah.
I woke up and it was almost 10 o'clock this morning. I was bed at like 1, and then I woke up at almost 10. Yeah. So this whole last week. Are you going to go to I told my friends that I got about kicking around. You were primary in the day?
Loved it.
Saturday? Oh, I worked with that job, right?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
And then I have my coaching business. And then I do luckily I'm not overwhelmed with clients right now. For a while it was like every day, an hour, and that's great. I mean, not that overwhelmed in a bad way, but it just takes my energy to all that. Somebody. Sure. So yeah, so it's seriously intense. I'm really good at digging around, so especially right now this time. My favorite part. Yeah, but I kind of figure I work my ass off for the 185 days I work, so.
Do you have an outside place taking around all the time? How much you guys have to like see us? Well, Gabriel, when I
was just thinking today, I was the place I was supposed to go to. Just go,
Mexico.
okay, and you served out. That was the very first time I was in Mexico. No, Florida.
Florida? Yeah, right over.
But you're right by that corner.
Yeah, right there. Right, like literally Mexico. We're on Iowa. So, yeah, I always like when I invite people to like, it's like, we're not used to, like, by the daytime, unless there's kids out there, no one uses it.
I buzz people in, so what's doing? You were asking me where I currently live, and
Come
I
here.
and
Will you just tap that off?
oh yeah.
Thanks.